Hey, Thomas, what's happening, man?
Hey, how you doing, Dave? Nice to see
Doing
you.
good, doing good. We're working through some tech issues this morning. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast sometimes with these live feeds, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Screen sharing.
yeah, that's all right. We'll keep working on it. We'll get it to work. But hey, that's what it's all about, man. Impromptu. We will make this fun. We will make it happen. I think everybody's going to really be tuning in to hear a lot about what's going on in your world and how you guys are disrupting the BIM marketplace, so to speak, with an end-to-end solution, just not the BIM portion. So
Absolutely.
I think this is really cool. We met at Staycation at Housing Innovation Alliance, which was awesome, and they're always putting on great events. So, Thomas, why don't you give us a little bit about who Thomas is as you play around with that, and let the world know what DigiBuilt and Thomas is.
Absolutely. So my name is Tom Simpson. I am the Building Information Modeling Director at DigiBuilt. We are a building company we're a technology company that focuses on building information modeling at the start of our product, which ties into a technology platform that we've created that focuses on scheduling and managing. And basically, we created an end-to-end user solution for the entire construction industry. And our president and founder is John McClendon. We're based out of the greater Chicago area. And just a little bit about myself, I have a background in architecture, 2 master's degrees, one in architecture and another in integrated design and construction. And I really got my start in this industry working in marine engineering, where I was working at a marine engineering company in Norfolk, Virginia during my high school time, actually, because I went to a technology high school, and I was tasked with taking all of their as-built blueprints for the naval-based ships and translating those into 3D CAD. At the time, they were all converting everything into a technology platform. So with that type of mindset, it kind of curved my path and my journey through school and everything, and kind of led me to where I am now. So I took it amongst myself to focus really hard on the 3D information of buildings and their realistic applications, opposed to a 2D drawing that can lie or can sometimes get thrown away to the side and be executed a different way. So I really believe that there's something about seeing things in 3D and coordinating things before anything gets done that has a big future and impact on our industry here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, listen, anything that we can solve on the computer in the office before it goes to the field, right there is a savings in and by itself, So, one of the things that's pretty prevalent, and we've kind of talked about, kind of a claim to fame, is the over 30% profit increase experienced by early adopters. We're gonna jump into that, and we're gonna jump into 3 major problems that you guys see in the industry that I believe you have some solutions for. So,
yes.
Listen, everybody, if you are just joining us right now, we have Thomas Simpson, who is the Director of Building Information Modeling Technology for DigiBuilt. Thomas and I had a short interview a couple months ago, I think it was, at this point, which was great, and that's why I thought it was so important to bring this to our audience and to the world. We are live, Thomas, so on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. We're going to take comments from everybody on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, as long as we see them come through. So right now, if you could like and share this feed so we can get the word out to everybody about DigiBuilt, about Dave Cooper Live, about the Offsite Construction world, that would be awesome. So, all right, Thomas, explain.
Really appreciate
30% profit increase experienced by early adopters, because that's a big statement.
That is a big statement, and I think we're lowballing a little bit there, but that really comes down to the upfront coordination, and it's really that 30% really has everything to do with material waste and coordinating your systems up front, getting that bill of materials exactly tight down to whatever waste factor works within a reasonable margin. But 30% profit increase is what we're hitting with some of our current customers. And that's just by reducing excess waste, really. And there's a lot of, you can go by any job site and see many dumpsters full with waste that has no reason being in the dumpster. So that's really what that is about. And that happens by taking, engineering drawings, architecture drawings, mechanical information, and coordinating everything digitally first, and presenting that into the guys that are actually going to be doing the work so that they can ensure that, the way this is modeled and laid out is exactly how we're going to run this ductwork or execute this detail.
Right.
And with that, we're able to itemize the exact bill of materials per the what I call assembly engineering of the build.
Sure. It's funny you say that about the dumpsters and the waste, because I literally last night on LinkedIn with Jerry McCahey from Integra was going back, and I asked, hey, where's all your dumpsters on your site? Because it's the same mentality that you're talking about. And Jerry said, what's a dumpster? He goes, what we should do is charge framers for wasting the material we already paid for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you're paying for it twice. You're buying it, then you're throwing a good portion of it away, and then you're paying for it to be taken away. It was a really good response by Jerry. So I can understand where you're coming from, because the technology is what's going to help us stop wasting material like this, especially material that we paid for.
Absolutely. Right. And it has everything to do with the upfront information and coordination. And if you look at standardizing an industry, this is something that we have not done in a lot of aspects in the construction industry. So if you look at standardizing something just as far as estimating for a framer or a framing crew, everybody does it completely different. Everybody has their own formulas. So that waste factor is going to be different from project to project, and the realistic waste is going to be different from project to project. So if you could look at some real logic for buildings and start to standardize things based off of real data, I think we can start to make some real improvements on this industry.
Yeah, I agree. And listen, I mean, you're coming from a world where there is very little margin, if any, for error when it comes to working for the Navy and 3D CAD work. Like, there's no retakes when you're doing that type of work. That's kind of like the space shuttle guys, right? Like, there is no retakes. There is no, oh yeah, we forgot about that piece.
Absolutely.
That's where this comes from in your mind. And you say, why is building so difficult? It doesn't need to be that difficult. We just need to take the time to understand it and plan it. Build it on paper, build it in modeling, just like they do at the Navy yards, right? They model out all this stuff, and then it makes sense. So you
also see a lot of it with in some instances with commercial construction aspects. So I'm really we started our focus on residential to be specific, because that's mainly the areas where you don't have a lot of upfront coordination that happens, and then you have a builder who. Well, I'm getting into the 3 points now.
Hey, don't go ahead of the program here, Thomas.
Yeah. So I'm gonna dial down, because I'm starting to get a little further ahead there.
Why don't we do this? Because there are the three major problems that you were talking about, and I was also thinking while we're talking, I'm gonna pull up your website, because you have about 4 or 5 short videos on there that show some of these things. So I'm gonna let you jump into this, but we're gonna talk about the 3 major problems that you guys have identified. The first being builders don't build houses; their trade partners do. What do you mean by that?
Everybody is a sub of a sub. That's exactly what we mean by that. You have a builder who's taking all the risk and responsibility, and it's their product. But the person actually building that product is either a subcontractor or a sub of a sub, typically. So majority of the time what happens is you have a architect that's hired by the builder, engineers that are hired by the builder, and so on. And that information is presented to the subcontractors to execute. And typically what happens is the subcontractors are never on the same page as the architect or the engineer, and there's many details that never get executed as they're drawn on the plan. So we see that as an issue, and And the solution that we see is to, get everybody on the same page, make everything transparent, and give the builders a little bit of ownership of their product, and, think about it a little differently, and say, hey, subcontractor, this is what I want you to execute, opposed to here's what we came up with. What is it going to take you to execute it? And that's kind of the approach that we look at this. So we take drawings from builders, we build them as if we're building them on the site, down to every nut and bolt in detail, even down to the gusset plates and the strong ties. And some people say it's ridiculous, but we found ways to make it efficient and streamline it. And it doesn't make sense for a lot of people to work to that level of detail, but we figured out some means and methods to get that done. But there's a lot of benefits that come with that.
All right. Well, I mean, you can basically just zoom in and right down to, like you said, the sill plates or the Simpson tie downs, and see exactly what it is. I mean, it's almost as if you're there, in real life.
Absolutely. And from a builder's aspect, typically builders have 5 to X amount of plans, a collection of plans, a database or a catalog. And usually you're building that plan multiple times in the same region or all over the states. And typically, even in the same development, that home is being built a different way from one site to another. And the way we look at it is, if you could assembly engineer and digitize that plan one time down to the code requirements, energy requirements, and constructability requirements, and that digital model with all that information and data lives on a shelf, you could take it off the shelf and it's a turnkey product over and over again. And that's really the benefit to the builder, because now they have a ready to go product that you're not, pricing out and, trying to get different estimates for over and over again for the same exact product. You figure it out once and you lock it in. Right. And then you learn from that.
Since we're impromptuing here, there's a short couple second video on Digitize plans on the website. Should I play it?
Yes, absolutely.
Let's do that. Let's add that to the bear with me. All right. So this is showing. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, it's not sharing.
I'm messing up. I know, that's me. I'll go back. Sorry, everybody. Just the way it goes sometimes. There we go. No sound.
So while this is going, we like to show this because typically you see, artistic renderings and 3D models that have, the exterior shell for a look and feel of a model. This is just showing the level of detail that we're going to, and everything that you see here is verified by the subcontractors and people in the field that are actually going to be implementing the work.
Right.
So it's a little different than just having a 3D model for rendering or a 3D exterior for look and feel. It's not so much about the architecture of things. It's more about the building, assembly, engineering, and what the materials and the products are and how they go together.
Right. And the level of detail, Thomas, that, we were just looking at. In fact, let me just, I can get my own self in order. I think I can pause some of this. Let me just do that. There you go. That framing. All right. This will be a good one to show. So if we look at this detail here with this framing, I mean, this is absolutely incredible. The level of detail that one can get into on this, and not only the framing as it goes through just the plumbing details. And this is, I think, a little bit what you were talking about, where you can see, like, even around the hose bib area there, the detail of
Absolutely.
what's involved.
Absolutely. Let's pause right there for a second, and this kind of ties into some of the things where I was talking about standardizing the industry. So there we have all these 3D modeling tools and everything available. But if you look at that detail, how does a pipe fitting copper go into a hose bib? There's many different applications for that all over the world with those same materials, all over the country with those same materials.
Right.
And if we look at just standardizing some of those things, you could digitize them and have these catalogs of code standard applications that kind of live on the shelf that you can utilize over and over again. So that's kind of how we look at these things. Mm-hmm. So let's say I do something in Arizona, which has one code, and I have a system designed for that. I'm just going to build upon it for different codes as we move forward, which basically expands the catalog, but it standardizes, applications of how you're doing things as well.
Right. Right. Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's great. And that way, a builder who's building in several states has a catalog each time. They only have to do it once.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's plug and play each time they start a new plan division or subdivision or single family house, whatever.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Now, as we're looking at this model, for instance, that fitting that you saw, now
yep.
Everything that you're seeing in these models is basically tied into a database that we've created that's proprietary to ourselves, DigiBuild. So at a click of a button, after one of these models are built, we hit a click of a button and our technology basically takes over 100,000 data points from this model and creates a bill of materials automatically at a click of a button based off of the information in this model. Mm-hmm. And some of the stuff first things first, you're probably asking, what about, caulk, nails, mud, drywall tape, all those type of things. So based off of elements in our model that we actually modeled, we have some hidden algorithms in our technology that basically add in the non-modeled elements, such as your tack strips and your nails and your mud and your tape and paint, for instance. So our system is pretty smart when it comes to that, and we give the builders and our customers the controls as to how much waste factor at the starting point they want to have embedded onto each material or application in the model. And then another thing we've done is we've tied a labor activity to each component that you're seeing in this model here. So for instance, that tub that you're looking at for the plumbing system, there's what we call a assembly labor activity. And what that's doing is getting at the time of labor. So we know that tub in the model is for the plumbing trade. It's basically just tying the element to the trade, which allows us to schedule it at a click of a button.
It's just amazing. And it was on the top of my mind. I was thinking about the caulking and the trim. But it really wasn't. But the fact of the matter is that's how deep you've gone on this, that you've taken it all the way to that level of, the finished supplies, the finished sealants, things of that nature that need to go into this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, that listen, love it. All right. So 3 major problems. So that was one of them, right? The builders don't build houses. Their trade partners do. The industry doesn't know what it doesn't track. Let's talk about the tracking part. You've elaborated a little bit on it getting into this conversation, but there's a whole nother side to this. Am I right?
Yeah, yes, you are. There's a lot with that tracking. So that really just talks about the data from start to finish. We really don't collect the data from the start to finish. People do it in their silos. I know some really good contractors and building companies that have some really, really good information that's utilized for themselves. But as a whole industry, we really don't collect data compared to other industries like the automotive industry or marketing. If you go to any framer and ask, in this climate zone with this many guys, how long does it take to frame this wall? You'll get a different answer over and over again. So it really starts with the digital model and collecting the data at the start. What manufacturers and what products are you using, and locking that in so that the end user could utilize that information for warranty, maintenance, and future issues. The second piece of data really is the process. It's process data, the exchange of information, and that even has to do with the pre-construction process as well. But really, the construction process, exchange of information. If you think about Domino's Pizza Tracker, look at our industry and just imagine if we had what's equivalent to like a Domino's Pizza Tracker for our industry. And let's say you buy a house and you can log on to a platform, and you know that Bob, the carpentry crew, was in there with 3 guys today. That's the type of data we're talking about tracking. Who's there, what's being done, and how long did it take? Mm-hmm. And keeping that data tied into the model into one database. So you have almost what's equivalent to a VIN number for a car, but something similar to a house. And nothing that's, too crazy, but it's really just looking at what is in my house. You don't get an itemized receipt when you buy real estate. You don't know what's in your home. Right. You can't look at your home like an exoskeleton. And this is really what we're getting at and putting the control in the builder in the end user's hands.
Yeah. Well, again, I keep repeating the past things, just even on Monday with George Casey, every home should come with a manual.
Yes.
Every car comes with a VIN number and a manual. Yeah. Right. You're kind of saying the same thing on the front end and on the back end.
Absolutely.
So also with all this, it gets into it tracks all the materials that you need, but it also works with the vendors as well as the trades as far as what those material supplies are. Is that correct?
That is correct. So we're actually tying in manufacturer product data and specs into our database system. We're just taking their information and just putting it in the right place. But the benefit to the manufacturer is, let's say you're a builder and you build 3,000 homes a year, and James Hardy's sending you product, but they don't know exactly where their product is going. So that's really the benefit of the data for the manufacturer, is we will know how many SKUs where your product lives. So and that's a big thing for manufacturers, so that they can know exactly where their product was installed, opposed to just selling 1,000 of something to one warehouse or builder.
Right. So this gets into generating the bill of materials, like we were saying. Let me show that video.
Yes,
I'm going to put that up. Yeah, we're going to play it.
So this is going through our technology that you're looking at now, extracting the information from that digital model.
I'm just slowing it down a little bit.
No, that's fine.
So when it says it's extracting the data points.
And those data points mean literally every bit of information tied to that model, even if it's 2D, such as a line, and it's being organized and attached to different areas. So this is basically the bill of materials generated, and we have different algorithms that basically you can tailor how you want this to read per builder. So some people just want to look at it by floor, some people want to look at it just by product type or just by trade, and we have those capabilities. But everything that you see is organized by trade, because that's really how you need to look at it to order it realistically.
Right.
And then you'll see some things in red, and those things are calculated on the back end based off of how many things are modeled.
So when you say in red in the bill of materials?
Correct.
Oh,
so
here.
That first line, that drywall tape, actually.
Yep, in the first line here.
Yep. And those things, builders, they can start with a waste factor, and as they continue to utilize our platform, you'll start to see your own waste factor dial down.
Right.
So you can get at a more tight bill of materials for yourself.
And this
and
is
what it takes to build over and over again.
And this all comes out of you digitize the plans, and this automatically generates.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's super cool. All right, number 3, and then we're going to get into some comments here because I see the red bar lighting up over there. So it's got to be good now and be nice to Thomas. Hey, so
give me everything you got.
the industry is complex and every house is different. All right, so these are 3 major problems that we talked about. So we did just so we're running through with everybody. If you're just joining us, builders don't build houses; their trade partners do. We've talked a little bit about that. The industry doesn't know what it doesn't track. We're talking about that. And we just showed like bill of materials and all those things. Now we're into the industry is complex and every house is different. And I put a little house emoji in there for you.
Absolutely. So this really gets to the digitization and standardization of things. The industry is complex. Every house is built completely different, even if it's the same exact plan, the same climate zone, same code zone, and everything. And that's just due to, you know, the exchange of information and how things are broken off. And I touched on this before. Architect drawings get to the field. Subcontractors are used to doing it one way. Another subcontractor crew is used to doing it another way. You could either have the same carpentry company that have different crews that do things different ways. And this is really what we mean by this. And we just think that we got to start focusing on the data and standardizing things to say that, okay, we know that if it's that application, you use this way because based off of data, this is the best way to do it.
Okay. So let's hop into some comments and questions here real quick. We got some people tuning in. We'll say hello. Georgia, our friend George Ryman's tuning in from hot Phoenix, Arizona. Hey, send some of that heat our way, man. It's not that hot where we're at. It's actually kind of nice. How about yourself? What's the temperature at in Chicago?
You know what? I didn't check, and I've been outside today, but I'm imagining it's probably low 70s.
Yeah, love it. So we got William Kilpatrick joining us. Good morning, William. Thank you for joining in this morning. Jennifer's joining in as always. Good morning, Jennifer. There he is. I knew he was going to show up. Gary, he has a comment. Just like every industry does, why U.S. residential industry so far behind? Why is U.S. residential industry so far behind? Oh, yeah, they used to get out of jail free card, field verify. Crazy in the 21st century. You want to comment on that, Thomas?
Yeah, I do actually, because
I knew it was coming.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Field verified. You made me think of inspections, actually, and you look at the age of inspections right now. We were working with a group in Virginia, and they basically could not handle the capacity of their inspections, and the people doing their inspections for all the building information were not versed in any type of building field. So, and if you look at the future of our industry and who's going to be going into that type of sector, there's really not a lot of interest. So I think the digitization of plans and things has a lot to do with inspections and that, that dry run kind of mentality in the head, because just imagine a time where we could start doing digital inspections. Something's already approved digitally and you're utilizing it so you know that it works. That was just a thought that made me think of. But by digitizing things, it does get away from the dry runs, the HVAC guy coming in after the plumber and realizing that we can't fit down the same plumbing because there's not enough space. So I cut your stuff in and I put my stuff where it needs to go. Then I got to make a phone call. 2 weeks later, plumber comes back. We all know the scenario, but that's really what it is. Coordinate, digitize it up front so you don't have those issues.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, you're absolutely right. And it's funny with the digitization and the inspections and I see Alistair Sawyer's on here as well from overseas. And one of the things that they are doing in other parts of the world are digital virtual inspections with the local town inspectors, where you don't have to sit there all day and pay somebody just to wait for somebody who may or may not show up that day just to ding you on something. Because if it's digital and they have the digital plan, they can just match up with what they're seeing in the field and sign off on it. Is what you're saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I love it.
To the back end capabilities of what we created on our technology. And I don't think I've spoke about this yet, but after the bill of materials and scheduling piece that we've created, so basically that bill of materials, we have logic where it can tie into your Primaveras, your Microsoft projects, and generate a schedule based off of that real information. But it's really about tracking that process that allows you to get everything out of the process there.
So why don't I? I'm kind of behind the scenes here. Why don't we pull up that critical path video?
Yeah. Okay.
We'll show that next then, since you mentioned it. All right. So it's creating a Gantt chart, eh?
Absolutely.
Like
so based off, and that's just based off of the information in the model. You remember I was talking about that ALA, the assembly labor activities,
right?
Just based off of those, you're able to create the schedule. So it's a direct tie to functionality.
Mm-hmm. Love it. Love it. So walking through this, we digitize the plans. It gives us a full 3D, maybe even 5D blueprint of the entire house.
Mm-hmm.
That you can zoom into micro level to see exactly what you're using. It provides the bill of materials. Does it provide the bill of materials to the vendors automatically as well? Can you automatically generate POs off this?
We're working on that. We're working on to get to that level.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Yeah.
But
it's based off of levels of specifications given to us. So if we have the information, we can tie it in. If it's commodity, we leave it as such until we know exactly what it is. So we kind of have a method where we have a base model, and then we have a lot specific model that we deal with that deals with the specific manufacturers of things.
Super, super cool. So now then, we're into all of that. Where are we heading next after we get to the critical path schedule? Because within a matter of minutes, we've designed a house. We know exactly what's in the house. We've created a bill of materials. We've created a critical path or Gantt chart or whatever you want to call it to schedule out the job.
Mm-hmm. So now what's next is the actual construction process and what we call the DigiBuild Tracker. And you'll see that on our website as well. So the DigiBuild Tracker is really for the subcontracting crews or the builder or whoever wants to take ownership of this. And we basically created a technology that based off of our schedule and our technology, whoever is the crew or the foreman of the job, let's say the framer arrives on site at 7 a.m. and Roberto or Bob wants to be the guy in charge to be alerted on the messaging. We basically have a messaging system that sends out automated alerts from the schedule to collect productivity data at specific stages. So we're basically tracking the project through automated text messages back based off of the schedule. So it'll ask you a simple question in the morning, and the subcontractors or builders have the control to tailor, when they're being alerted and how they're interacting with our system. But a scenario would be you arrive on the site in the morning, you get an automatic text message, and this isn't everybody. This is only one person, one crew guy. You get a text message asking what tasks should be completed today and how many guys are on the site. So we're collecting how many guys are there. And then at the end of the day, it's simply asking what percentage of the task was completed. And if it was not, it simply asks why or why not, why it wasn't done. And we have levels of doing that. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind playing this video, this explains it really well.
Sorry, there's no sound. So
this is just a construction site. So guy arrives on the site, you get an automated text message. And it's just an example of some of the things it would ask. And the beauty about this is it's not an app or some technology that a subcontractor or builder needs to learn. It's just a text message. You're just responding yes or no or a number, and it automatically updates the schedule.
Yeah, I love it. I'll just let it run through one more time.
Yeah. And this is really important because now you're getting away from sitting at the dinner table with wife and kids, updating schedules.
Right.
Because if anybody's been on a job site, you know, walking that first, you walk through that first house, and then by the time you get to house number 10 or 20 at the end of the day, and you realize the carpenter didn't show up, and it's 4 or 5
Right.
p.m. or the plumber or framer didn't show up. It's too late. Now you're using your entire evening and night updating a schedule, trying to piece everything together.
So does that get into this one about, I guess, trade labor, right? Labor
Yes.
productivity?
Yeah, that really gets into labor productivity. And that's just really collecting the data on who's doing it and how long it's taking them to do it.
Right, right. Well, let's show that. I mean, we have it, and just so everybody knows, we were having some tech difficulties, so we're impromptuing some of these shows. So I am the layman's term when it comes. I'm layman when it comes to the technology side of stuff here. So, all right, I'm going to show this video real quick, and then we're moving on. So at the end of each workday, they have to update what's going on.
Correct. And this is just based off of the schedule that the builders set up. So if today the builder, you know, per the schedule, it should be 14% complete, that's what it's going to ask.
So that's great. So it's going to show 14% and then all the way up to hopefully 100%. And they'll be able to figure out on what day, how far they're behind. And as far as a percentage goes versus, oh, we're 5 days behind.
Absolutely.
Cause the delay.
That is being collected too. So you could, and all this data is being collected so you could use it to continuously improve your process. Because if you know that, you know, the 2-man crew works better for certain applications than the 3-man crew, then that should be the standard.
Got it.
And we don't know that yet. And this is all going to be a test of data collection.
So all of this is happening through text message, but it's all the data is being collected within your system.
Absolutely.
So it's not a burden for the builder or for the trades or for the project manager or the trades in the field whatsoever.
No, not at all. And the builder, manufacturers, and subcontractors, it's all web-based platform. So all they would have would be a login.
Okay.
And it would be a job site login. Everybody will be integrated into the same, you know, job. And you'll have information that you need to see.
Yeah, yeah. So Thomas, give us kind of like the elevator pitch here, you know, because there's other BIM softwares out there, right? There are BIMs out there. There's other people similar, you know, in the space. What is it that makes DigiBuilt so different from the rest?
Yeah, I'll just keep this real simple. It's really the process, the end-to-end solution, digitize, schedule, and track the labor and build the product and keep everything transparent. So I really, in a nutshell, what makes DigiBuilt different is just how we're looking at it in the process. We're not doing anything that hasn't been done before. We're just kind of putting a lot together in one box here. But we think it'll be a big benefit for the industry by doing so. And it's really just looking at the building as a realistic product before it's even built, and really looking at, you know, a home or a building as a branded item, you know.
Yeah, for sure. So we're going to get to some more comments in our segment, but just walk us through what are all the components that are in your box that makes it so great? You got the BIM.
So it's really the digital twin.
Yep.
The bill of materials, the automated schedule, and the build tracker. And the fifth thing is all of that data that happened by accident through that process that you have access and the end user has access to as well.
Right, right. And you guys are seeing a pretty significant increase in profit savings, 30%. You froze up on me there, Thomas. There you go. You're back. All right. All right. Let's look at some quick questions.
Yeah, I can still hear you.
What's that? Let me pull.
Oh, you're good.
Love it, love it, love it. All right. So Jerry McCaughey. Oh, he is so speaking the language of FiOS. I love Jerry. Tom Reddy is joining us. Tom's from Synergy Steel. Do you have lessons learned which pushed you to redraw into your software?
Yes, many lessons.
I'll leave it up for a second.
Yes, many lessons learned, and just a little background. And I'll speak about our founder and president, John McClendon, a little bit. We come from he came from the commercial development world initially, and then ended up in doing residential development in the Chicago area, and that's where myself and him kind of joined paths at that time. And we used our own projects to test out this technology and kind of learn from that, and that kind of tailored us to where we are now. Things have changed a lot. We've learned a lot from this, and that kind of really boiled us down to where we are now. And the main thing that we have learned is the most important person in this conversation that we're talking about here is the subcontractor, and they really have to be on board and understand this. So it's really an upfront conversation with the builder and getting the subs on board and having a different mindset, or having a builder that has enough control of their subs that will adopt an innovative process like this, because it's something different. And if you look at a lot of areas around the world, especially in times right now where labor is scarce for specific trades, the subcontractors have all the control. And it could be a scary thing just due to the times of information in our industry. A lot of our information has retired and went away, and there's no databases that has collected that information. So
great. There you go. Tom had a follow-up. Love the video. Would like to use it with a change to steel.
Oh,
possible?
Yes. Unfortunately, we had some screen sharing issues before, but we definitely have models with steel. Any building component, anything that's a 3D mass, any geometric shape can be modeled and called whatever it needs to be. So anything can be modeled.
There you go. So, hey, Tom and Thomas, you guys hook up offline, and maybe that's a conversation you should have, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Send me an email. I'd love to show you some metal commercial framing we've done for some customers.
Yeah, awesome. Jennifer made a comment: when there are no conflicts in the field, the trades and the client are both big winners. That's true.
Absolutely. And I think the key to that is everybody from the start being on the same page, complete transparency, and coordinating up front. Speaking about that, there's a specific issue and this goes back to the question from Tom about the learning curves. One of our first customers that was utilizing our technology, I was building a model for a home that we were building, and the plumbing subcontractor and the tenor, the HVAC subcontractor, both gave me their designs and layouts, both based off of science and performance. Gave them to him. He said, I've been doing this 30 plus years. If you model it exactly how I designed it per the architectural plan, you won't have any issues. But neither one of them had the webbing of the trusses and the floors and the roof. And neither one of them had the information of the plumbing or HVAC design. So they're only thinking about themselves with their design in coordination with the architecture. So when I modeled everything, we had over 10 clash detection issues in a 2-story, 2,500 square foot home, major clash detection issues with, mechanical equipment running into headers and structural integrity, components. And the same thing with the plumbing. So with the model, we were able to catch that information up front, go back to the subcontractors and say, we need you to reroute, and these are the conflict areas. And that allows your performance also to be verified, because how many times do we get manual JD and S's, or try to have a efficient plumbing layout, but you're making field changes, which basically throws that manual GDS out the window, or whatever efficiency you were shooting for. You really don't know.
So, I mean, that's a really, really good point, especially if you're doing like a planned subdivision of, 20 homes, 100 homes, or what have you. Those overruns and those mistakes are huge and costly, and playing it all out digital is one way. But I would imagine even if you're on site and you come across something, you can resolve it a lot faster using the Digitize program that you have. But the reality of it is you're not going to have very many of those issues. Is that what I'm hearing?
Absolutely. I mean, realistically, you can't catch everything, but
Right.
It's really getting at the major pain points and costly items that put us behind schedule or put the budget over the roof.
All right. Alistair, I told you he was tuned in. Hey, great stuff. It would be good to see the copper plumbing systems being made redundant and replaced with easier, faster, cheaper PEX systems if the codes allow it. He has a bunch of things going here. Hold on. Data management and understanding how to use that data is a key. Great product spotlight session. Hey, thanks, Alistair. We appreciate it. All right. Home manual and house ID kits are standard now in the UK, Australia, Singapore, and New Zealand.
That is correct.
Yeah, love it.
And BIM was standardized out there many years ago. They were kind of forced to use it to a certain level.
Anthony said, Anthony, good day. Good morning, Anthony. Good morning. Really good. Really enjoying this session. I'm glad to hear it. Thank you, Anthony, for the comment. Brent Musin, I think I said that right. NTA, which is a third-party inspection company here. I don't know if you know them. Does virtual remote inspections by phone app under the HUD code only. Okay, I didn't know that. Did you know that?
I've heard some stories of remote inspections. I'm not. I would need to research more about that, because I'm only familiar with some places that do virtual inspections, but it's more of a kind of checklist sheet type of thing. So that'll be something to really get involved with to learn more about.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's a game changer in this, for builders in this country, especially most of the municipalities are fighting to get people to want to even be inspectors, right? They're shorthanded. There's a crisis, affordability, housing all over the place. Most of them are overworked. This would streamline some of that for them. So Brent, great comment. I see you have some more comments in here. So Ivan Mutenda, how compatible is your software with other software? If a building has been designed by another designer, do you need to effectively trace over the whole design to add to your data?
We have many ways that we could transform models from 3D CAD platforms, 2D CAD platforms, PDFs even. It's an easy transition for us. We've done it many times, even down to a PDF. You don't even need to have a 3D model. We basically will convert it for the DigiBuild platform for you.
You just need the DWG file or something like that, and you just import it, and your system will adjust for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Great question, Ivan. Thanks for joining us. I really appreciate that. Brent, there you go. Congrats on an awesome tool, Thomas. Are you working on a version for offsite factories?
Oh, great question. Yeah, we talked about this. We get that question a lot. We are in conversation with multiple companies dealing with offsite manufacturing components. So that is a yes. And we're interested in seeing where that goes, because I know a lot of people are, pushing for the offsite construction. In some logistical aspects, it doesn't make the most sense, but there could be some ways as technology grows and collaboration grows within this industry.
Well, I mean, all right. Here's my soapbox. You ready? I love it. I mean, offsite's here to stay. I mean, it's growing fast. I mean, just even what we're talking about. So, I mean, with that said, modular volumetric's not right for every area. you have panelized, but there's many things that fall into offsite, right? Panelized, modular, concrete, even log homes fall into offsite, right? So I think SIPs panels, Jack Armstrong, if you're out there listening, I mentioned SIPs, but the reality of it is it's heading that way. And being one of the first to market to figure it out, one would make all of us offsite people super happy, Thomas, and two, it'd probably make you super happy as well, because that'd be a ton of business.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I can't. Yeah. Know there's some things in the work that are going to be figured out for offsite construction, and I'll just tap into this as well. Affordable housing is another big area that we are specifically interested in, because our solution just makes it that much easier to get to, affordable housing solutions for certain organizations, city organizations we're working with, for instance.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, it makes all the sense in the world, because offsite's no different than most stick builders, unless you have a FiOS like, Jerry's system, like Jerry McCaughey and Integra. But most factories, just like site builders, I'll just fix it in the field.
Yeah.
And there's not that cost to it, and if people get that mind shift that it's cheaper on paper, it's cheaper in-house, there's a bigger upfront cost, but it's a heck of a lot. Like you said, it's a 30% savings.
Yeah.
On the job.
We think that can be more. I just think
30%. Yeah, 30%. And
I
think even the McKinsey report, I don't know if you tuned in for that. I mean, the average overrun on jobs, now I think it was the commercial, and I may be over my head with this one, but 80% overruns.
Yeah, that's pretty much average. I mean, it's almost as if, people keep that in the budget just because they know it's going to happen nowadays. So,
well, all right. Right. But somebody ends up paying for that. All right. Let's keep moving here. Alistair, how is the cost of the service structured? Is it licensed out or per twin created?
That is a great question. So we are a SaaS company, so it's a subscription-based service. The only upfront piece is the digital twin creation. So we do charge a one-time fee, and you could reach out to me, and we can get you information specific to what you're asking. But there's a one-time fee per home.
Yep.
Just the base model plan. So let's say you got 5 models that you're doing. There's just a one-time fee per that plan style. And then we basically charge a subscription-based fee to utilize everything else that we talked about, the digital tracker, the scheduling management program, and everything else.
Yeah.
And access to all of that data. And you also have access to view the digital twin, know exactly what's in your model, bill of materials, and everything.
There you go. He said thanks.
No problem.
Yep. So it'd be interesting to hear. I mean, is there anybody on this call that wouldn't want to save 30% on their jobs or 80%? Imagine if you just kept your costs the same and you were able to put 30 to 80% back in your pocket.
Yeah. And I'm going to hit the question from a different,
Thomas.
And I'll hit the question from a different perspective. How many people, when they were buying their home or their first purchase or any purchase of real estate, would have wanted to know exactly what they were buying, and who did it?
Yeah, for sure. No doubt.
And I think that's important too, just for the future home buyers of America. Kids these days, at a click of a button, you can get any type of knowledge or information on your phone, on your smartphone. And I think that we just gotta, adjust to those type of standards and, that type of mindset going forward in our industry, because, I'm just coming from my colleagues, and I'm a 30-year-old guy, and people younger than me, and people younger than me just speaking, and people just assume that the construction industry is this really brilliant, it is, but this really integrated, sophisticated, technologically advanced industry, and it's not. And I just know that people are going to expect more information from my generation when they're making these type of purchases. I mean, you're looking at one of the biggest purchase investments of your life, and you don't know really what's in it or who did what,
You're absolutely right. 100%.
I think It's coming. People are going to want to know.
They are going to want to know. They definitely are going to want to know. And I think there's no way around it. We're moving in the right direction with, people like yourself and your team that are just brilliant when it comes to BIM and digital and thinking differently. We need more people. I know you think like you're older at this point at 30, but we need more mindsets like yourself in this industry. And I love it. So a couple more questions here. Can you believe it's almost an hour? Well, a little under. We started a little late, but here we go. Thomas Reddy had a follow-up. Sorry to digress. Leave it to Tom. Can the software handle sets of items required to support the different UL codes and costs associated? This would help when bidding and adjusting bid amounts based on the variable specifications. I'll leave it up for a second.
Yes, and I'm just going to assume you're talking commodity items such as spruce pine. That's going to be different in every area you go. Yes, our database allows that to easily be done. I'm not the person to specifically speak about that. Our Chief of Technology Officer, Chris Chappell, he could give a great answer about that. But I know for a fact that we are able to tie that logic in, and it's really based off of the relationship. He's created algorithms and all types of smart stuff that allows this to happen easily, but it's really based off of the digital element and the information that it holds and that assembly labor activity, and it allows us to easily attach the back end of what a commodity item needs to be changed to, whether it's code specific, material specific, treated specific. And we have relationships with many warehouses and lumber yards and things of that nature. And other manufacturers. So, yeah.
All great questions, man. Love it. Love it. Love it. All right. William Kilpatrick, impressive. It is vital the field crews are on board with this. The value add is in the software.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I spoke about that before. The field crews, they're really the ones getting the product put together. If you look at it at the end of the day, the product really relies on them at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really going to be, it's a learning curve, and it's a industry learning curve, especially for the fields, but we think it's possible, and it's getting there. And people are starting to understand and learn it more and more that, even for the trades, if I own a subcontractor crew, I would love to know that I'm not going to waste time sending my guys to a site, because sending my guys to a site and them having to go home and I'm wasting money paying them because something wasn't ready. And that's really what the benefit for subcontractors.
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Love it. Perfect. Got a couple more here, and then we're going to wrap it up. So if you have your question, you better get them in now. And if you like what you're hearing, follow Thomas, like and share this videos, give us some claps, on our feed here, because we're trying to always bring you innovative and interesting products. So Joel Hutchins, hey buddy, how you doing?
Yes.
Let me read this out, and then you can answer it, because we're on 3 platforms. They don't all show up on the same platforms. I wish they figured that out. Maybe you can figure that out for us. Yeah. It makes more than enough sense with industrialized construction, more so than what you have shown in digital plans. My 2 cents.
I completely agree. We have those conversations have come up. We're not there yet. We want to, focus on really the home first. We have commercial projects out there, and we do commercial stuff, but we want to focus on getting that done right, and then tapping into those other markets, because pipelines are a big thing, that in highways, bridges, infrastructure, all of that stuff could definitely be attached to this profile.
Absolutely. Brent Musson, one last thing, RFID chip integration, ?
Not yet, but that is something to look into.
Well, it is something. It's a good comment, because we are heading that way with a lot of products and everything that's on the job sites. it would be very interesting to add that to your watch list, I would imagine.
Yeah, that would be. And I know some other companies out there that have like the trackers to see where guys are for a specific amount of times within their construction process. And I guess our equivalent to that, and this is something that should be an ongoing configuration and iterative process. But I guess our equivalent to that right now, and this can change, is the text messaging, is our text messaging system. And it's more about what has been done opposed to where you're at.
Well, you simplified it. You
Yeah.
simplified it for the trades who don't want to be messing around with technology all day. They want to just do what they need to do and get to work.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are some hard hat readers and things like that where your guys are at, but you don't know what they're doing. And that's I guess that's kind of the approach we're looking at by that. But knowing where people are is also intriguing.
Yeah. So Joel said we are happy to talk. So there's another conversation to have offline. So Thomas, we are at an hour and 5 minutes, man. So I think we're going to wrap it up right here, unless there's a last minute question, which I don't see anymore. Let me just scroll through, make sure I didn't miss anybody. Boom, boom, boom. We got some pretty big things coming up. So let me talk about that real quick. So Thomas, tomorrow we have Professor Nez, the #1 LinkedIn person for the last 4 years in the world, coming on our show with Miles Biggs Ideas. All about branding and increasing influence, because one of the things talking about all this stuff, you get questions about, how can you be on camera all the time? How do you do this stuff? So we're going to be an exciting show. We have the #1 LinkedIn consultant in person on LinkedIn joining us. Isn't that cool? Friday. Really cool. Yep. You know what? Friday, we have BS Friday. Mark Willie's going to kill me. I got to pull up the name. We'll put it in the links. And then we have next week is going to be great. We have Monday. We have Greg Ugaldi on, the immediate past chairman of the NAHB. This is one of the guy that consults the president, in the Oval Office, politics aside. Still just cool that somebody has that job, be able to go in and have those conversations. So Greg Ugaldi will be on Monday. And then on Wednesday, we are releasing the BIM roadmap with the Housing Innovation Alliance, right? And I know you had some input on that. So this is a really cool lead up to that. We will be releasing next Wednesday the BIM roadmap. So there's so much great stuff happening. I'm just so looking forward to it. You've been awesome, dude.
Thank you. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and thank you, Dave, for this.
Yeah. So everybody else, also remember, please be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's the easiest way to find all these past videos and future videos coming up. It's in the comment section in the write-up here. So we'd really appreciate it if you guys subscribe to that. Thomas, you just hang around right there, because I'm going to come right back to you after this outro. And that's it, everyone. This is an episode of Dave Cooper Live. Thomas Simpson, DigiBuilt. You did a great job. You got a great product, man. And I have a feeling you're going to have some people reaching out to you. They're already commenting about it. So thank you for taking time. I know you're busy.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, everyone. We'll see you next time. Bye now.